Do you sometimes wonder how to plan your finances as a GP? There's loads of budgeting tools out there, but none specifically designed for a general practitioner. We have unique things that affect us, obviously. Well, we're going to have a look at a tool that may help you do that. Let's take enhance your primary care and learning. If this is the first time we're meeting, I'm Dr. Gandalf of EGP Learning, where I look at supporting you with technology-enhanced primary care and learning. And in this video, we're going to have a look at a tool I've created to try and help you plan your finances over the coming year. It looks at outgoings and potentially your budgeted or actual income to give you a flavour of what your finances are looking like. I'll be clear, this is not financial advice, so take no responsibility in terms of that aspect of things. But I do think it's a really useful tool to help you plan your finances so you have a better idea of where your money's going and coming in. In addition, next week we'll be chatting with an accountant to give you even more information in terms of your financial planning with the coming new tax year. As always, if you want to get more information, make sure you subscribe and ring the bell to be first notified of all of our content, either on our YouTube platform, Facebook or Twitter. And as always, subscribe, comment, share. Let's tech enhance your primary care and learning. See you later. Hi GP learners, and welcome to this video where we look at one of our new tools that are provided for you called the EGP Learning GP Budget Planner. This is essentially a tool to try and help you plan your finances, and you can find it on the GP productivity page on our EGP Learning website. For the next week, this page will be open, after which, in order to access the tool, you will need to join the mailing list, so subscribe simply, and then you'll get the links in order to follow it as part of that. Anyway, to see the tool in detail, like I said, go to the GP productivity page and just scroll a tiny bit down and you'll see the link to download the file. This is an Excel file that you can then use obviously in Microsoft Excel or similar tools, or if you want to, upload it to your Google Drive and then change it to a Google Sheets and you'll be able to use it kind of how I'm showing you now. So this tool itself, it's got several different pages in terms of how it works. Simply put, the first page explains how to use the tool itself, the relative factors about using it, and I'm going to go through those right now. So in terms of using the tool, the first part is go to the outgoings page and simply fill in your outgoings. As you can see, it's already slightly populated because for most GPs, you would be paying your GMC subscriptions. I have put this in at the standard rate. Obviously, this doesn't apply to you, just change the figure. When you then use the tool, what I would recommend is putting the monthly amounts in. This is because all the cells that already have amounts in them are designed to multiply up and then track for you to calculate things automatically. If you change these values, unfortunately, you may lose the formula, in which case it doesn't track as well, but the information will still track. So, for example, in terms of your indemnity, which hopefully for many of us, that will be a lot less than what it currently is come next month, April. But in terms of simply putting either in the monthly cost and it will calculate it in terms of annual cost by timesing by 12, or you can fill in the annual cost, but don't forget the formula will go. So for example, if come next April, your monthly indemnity cost was, let's be conservative, £100. As you can see, it tracks across to automatically populate. And then it will also give you a percentage of the total amount. Now, as you fill this in, this will obviously change, so the various amounts will become less and less. But then the key thing is that it will give you an amount of, in terms of percentage, what your mandatory costs, what your optional costs, and all the other kind of the costs are in terms of how much you're paying out. This may take a tiny bit of time to do, but I do feel that if you do it, it will help in terms of giving you an idea of where your money's going. As you can see, a couple of comments or tips and stuff. Essentially, holidays are mandatory. I appreciate some people may not feel that way, but in terms of resilience and everything, you need a holiday every year. Trust me on this. Other optional costs that I've put down are obviously things like professional subscriptions, medical equipment, courses, e-portfolio costs, all those kind of things that are relevant to the role that we have. And if you go down to more standard costs, so these are things like your cost of livings, mortgage, rent, gas, electric, utilities, phone, car, all that kind of stuff and things. Okay. Insurances are a separate category because people may or may not have various different insurances, and only fill in the ones that you have. You do not have to fill in every category because the reality is not everybody will have everyone. Entertainment, trying to track how much you're spending your money on the good things in life. And then savings and investments, highly recommend having some, and obviously you can put stuff in like your pensions, if you know what your pension amounts are and stuff. And then consumables, groceries, that kind of stuff. As you can see, on each category, there is two other sections. This is for things that haven't been accounted for that may be different to yourself. I would hope that should be all that you need, and you just simply change the name to whatever you want, and then obviously track the amount as needed. If for some reason you do need extra lines, you can put these in yourself, just simply create an extra line. But in terms of putting the formulas, you just need to copy these across. So for example, for the formula for the annual cost, if you want to do that, simply put it equals the column number, so B, the line number, so in this example would be 6, and then times 12, and then that will multiply column B by 12 into column C. In terms of the percentage ones, slightly more complicated formula, but for the same line, it's equals C, 6, so in this case the previous tab, divided by the total amount, which is at this point C94. If you add extra lines, that line number will change, as you can tell, and then simply times by 100, and then that'll give you a percentage. If you do need to use that, that's how you do it. Obviously you may not need to, and I'm kind of hoping you won't in terms of the amount of lines given. Once you've filled in the outgoings, the next part is to fill in the budgeted income. Now you can choose which of these two tabs you use, the budgeted income or the actual income. You could use both if that's appropriate to yourself, and depending on how you want to plan your finances. The reason I've given this is to give you an idea of how much income and where kind of your money would be going on an annual basis. I think as good financial planning, it may help you as a tool. Alternately, you can just use it to track what you're doing currently, and then that'll give you a better idea of how things are going over the year. The main two sections are the employed pay after tax and the income from self-employment. So, for example, for most people doing salary jobs or work with things like CCGs, companies, that kind of stuff, this is where your employed after tax pay would go. I would recommend putting in the net pay that you've got. In terms of if you're a locum, a partner, or you're doing other self-employed work for other kind of companies or roles that you may have, then use the self-employed tab and things. One potential tip is putting in the different practices you work at if you're a locum, and that can give you an idea of where some of your income's coming from and which practices are providing you with more work, that kind of stuff. As you can see, it's an annual tracker, so starting from January to December. If you wanted to change this from going from April to April, simply just put the years relevant, so therefore it makes it easier for you to plan that and stuff. You could change the columns around if you want to, a little bit more complicated in terms of all the calculators and that kind of stuff that you're going to see in a second, but it is your choice. Other kind of income, I put various benefits if these are applicable, and other income areas and stuff. Potentially there are other income areas that may be applicable as well, so hence why you've got a couple more tabs. And as I said before, if you want to add some extra lines, it's pretty easy to do. However, the main reason for doing these is once you've filled in whichever one you think is best for yourself, or if you want to do both, going to the final tab, which is the summary tab that you can see here. And once you've done that, it will calculate everything automatically for you. So when you first look at this as a blank sheet, you will see that the amount will be 399, which is the GMC amount that we put in automatically. As you start to populate, it will give you more information. So I've not filled in any of the tabs here, but as you can see, there is also graphical representation that you can have once you've started to fill in tabs. So for example, if we go back to the actual income, and for example, let's just do March, pay after tax, you've earned in one job, for ease of sake, £500, and then as a self-employed locum, you've earned another £3,000, and then income from savings, you've earned another 50 quid. We'll see. But then in terms of that, it will give you a pie chart that tells you where your income is coming from and more spread. And then the final part to have a look at is the balance amount. So what this last column here will do, actual balance, or you can look at the budgeted balance, it will basically calculate the various different amounts that you've got and stuff in terms of telling you where your balance is coming from and things. So are you plus, negative, that kind of stuff. As you can see, because I've not filled in the budgeted amount, it says I'm negative 159.99, which is the costs or outgoings. However, in the actual amount, because I put some income, it means that over that period of time, positive of 1,951. As I said, this is simply a tool that I've provided for you to hopefully help with planning your finances and how you budget yourself. Why? Well, we're coming up to the new tax year. There are some changes coming up. And in order to help with that further, next week, I've got a rather interesting interview with Jenny Foreman from Foreman & Co., an accountant, and we talk about the various different aspects of accountancy in terms of general practice working, both as a partner, locum, and salaried doctor. So in order to support you with that, I provided you with this tool. I hope you find it useful. As I mentioned earlier, if you want to access this is free for the next week, after which, in order to access it, it will still be free. You just simply have to subscribe to the mailing list. If you do want to support the work that we do, feel free to subscribe to various of our channels, so on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or you can also support us on our Patreon page, which you can see here. This is simply to provide some income to help continue the work that we're doing. No requirement to do so, but clearly your help would be appreciated. And as I said, next week, we've got our money advice for GP locums, partners, and practices next week as I talk with Jenny Foreman from Foreman & Co. I hope you guys have found this useful. As always, feel free to subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook. And make sure you ring the bell so you get notified of our next content and stuff, as in next week's stuff. And I hope, as always, if you've got any questions, feel free to let me know. Specifically, it would be great if you could leave me some comments on whether or not you think this tool is useful or not, and whether you would use it. And if you are using it, let me know what you think. More than happy to make any changes. Anyway, guys, as always, subscribe, comment, share, and keep it tech enhancing your primary care and learning. See you later. Bye.